It's always sad to see a game end and the credits roll, but it's also crucial for a game developer to finish strong to avoid disappointing players and making them feel that their hours of playtime wasn't worth it. So today I will be going through the mainline Batman Arkham games to figure out how satisfactory these endings were and ranking each, with F tier being the worst and S tier being the best. I will be starting off in order of release date, which is Batman Arkham Asylum. After attending Joker's party and taking out the two Titan guards, it is revealed that there's a special guest, who is Commissioner Gordon, who Joker is about to inject with Titan, but as Joker fires the gun, Batman dives in the way and takes the Titan dart in the chest. Frustrated with Batman rejecting the Titan as best as he can, Joker shoots himself with Titan, and once he turns into a monster, he picks up Batman and carries him to the rooftops of the penitentiary for the final fight. Batman injects himself with the cure to stop him changing and notices that the roof, which is made of wood, is damaged and weak, so using Joker's need for attention against him, Batman pulls Joker off the ledge 3 times in order to break the ground beneath him. Once Joker gets back up, after sustaining pretty serious injuries, Batman sprays explosive gel on his fist and punches Joker one last time to defeat him. Oracle contacts her father, Gordon, where Gordon informs her that the GCPD has taken back the asylum and that anyone that got infected with Titan is slowly turning back to normal, although it can be a painful process. Batman meets up with Jim for a quick conversation, but before Batman can get any rest, the police radio alerts us that Harvey Dent, aka Two-Face, has just robbed a second national bank and is fleeing in a patrol car. Batman cuts the conversation early and grapples up to the Batwing, making his way to Gotham, thus ending the story. I really like this ending, and I feel like it's not really spoken about enough. Batman has just gone up against supervillains like Bane, Poison Ivy, the Titan Joker, and then just casually goes to the next task like it's nothing. I think it does a really good job of tidying up most loose ends, letting us know that everyone with Titan in their blood are returning to normal form, all the villains and criminals are being locked up, and that Gordon is safe also. It's obvious that Batman Arkham Asylum doesn't have some groundbreaking story or ending that subverts expectations, but I kinda like that. The thing about it reminds me a lot of an episode of the Batman animated series where you can casually enjoy the show without thinking too deep about it. Sometimes games try too hard to not have a basic feel-good ending, but then again you can end up overdoing it at the same time. The negatives with the ending is the lackluster boss fight, which isn't anything to write home about and kinda dented the ending a bit, as you expected the best for last, but you end up probably getting the worst boss fight for last, which probably left a sour taste in people's mouth. I also have mixed feelings on Titan Joker, as yeah, it would be difficult to have a Joker boss fight, but I'm also not too keen on Joker just being another brute, which is a common theme of the Batman Arkham Asylum boss fights. Overall, I feel that Batman Arkham Asylum's ending is pretty solid, nothing groundbreaking but also not bad. I felt it wrapped up the story well and even gave us 3 different endings hinting at what's to come. That's why personally I have to give Batman Arkham Asylum's ending an A tier rating, and currently it's the highest rating as it's the only one on our list, but can this next game dethrone it? After taking out the snipers surrounding the Monarch Theatre, we head inside in order to save Talia al Ghul from the Joker and recover the cure. Joker has Talia at gunpoint, and after some back and forth, Talia uses Joker's lack of concentration to counter him and stab him in the back. Talia shows Batman that she actually has the cure and that she stole it from Harley Quinn. Batman feels there's something off though. The somehow healthy Joker, the 2 cards in Freeze's lab, the little hints along the way. Just as Batman figures out the truth, Talia is shot with a pistol by none other than the real Joker, who is not actually cured and seems to be getting worse. The fake Joker, who turns out to be Clayface, morphs back into his normal form while picking up the cure from the ground. We then get into a pretty intense boss battle with Clayface, having multiple different attack moves, with the way to defeat him is by throwing freeze grenades at Clayface and chopping him up. But surprisingly, we actually get a second section with the boss fight where Joker blows up the floor below us. We land where the Lazarus pit is located, with Clayface spewing clay thugs to attack us, with them occasionally appearing where you have to throw more freeze grenades at him, and once completely frozen you will jump through his mouth and cut him up from the inside. Batman leaps out of Clayface and drinks the cure. Joker, now standing on the machine to power the Lazarus pit, plans to jump into the pit in order to live forever. Batman, knowing he has to stop him, throws the sword at the machine, knocking it down and blowing up the pit, with the blast knocking Batman unconscious. Batman wakes with Joker begging him for the cure. Batman acknowledges that no matter how many times he stops the Joker, he escapes and commits more crimes. Before Batman considers his options though, Joker sneaks up behind Batman and stabs him in the shoulder, the same shoulder that Batman is holding the cure in, leading Batman to drop the cure where it smashes on the ground. Joker desperately tries to scoop up the liquid off the floor, but to no luck, and Batman admits that no matter what Joker does, Batman will always save him, and he was planning to give Joker the cure. Joker finds this hilarious that for all the trouble he causes, that Batman will stick to his code no matter what, and passes away with a smile on his face. Batman then carries Joker's body out of the theatre, and without a word, Joker's thugs and Harley Quinn are unable to process what happened. Batman steps out of Arkham City greeted by the GCPD and Gordon, who only just showed up. Batman, still mute, leaves Joker's body on the police car and walks away, with the cutscene fading to black. Recently, Batman Arkham City's story has been getting a lot of backlash from a vocal minority, but I think we can at least agree that the ending is very well done, with the boss fight being pretty creative and diverse in Clayface's attacks, to the voice actors who put in a really good show, and lastly killing off such a big character with such a massive move. But I think it really worked and didn't feel forced. I also feel the execution was really well done. Something that I feel is underrated is the voice acting, and I feel that Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill did a really good job with the scene, and you can actually feel bad for the Joker, as of course you want to defeat him, but you're pretty sad to see him die. Clayface's boss fight, as I said, was very diverse, which is a huge upgrade on the Titan Joker boss fight in Arkham Asylum, and felt super satisfying when you actually defeated him. For negatives, I can't really think of anything too obvious that I disliked about the ending. This of course excluding the Catwoman DLC, which I think was pretty awful with the Two-Face boss fight. So I'm not including the Catwoman DLC as it's not the end of the main story and some people haven't even played it. So lastly, the rating, and honestly I think this is an amazing ending. The boss fight, to the dialogue, to the music, which I feel was pretty much perfect. That's why I feel that this game's ending deserves an S tier on this list, just above Arkham Asylum. Now moving on to a game that isn't even made by the original development team, that being Batman Arkham Origins. With Blackgate being overrun by prisoners, we make our way through the makeshift arena where Joker is holding the warden of the prison hostage. Joker wants Batman to fight and kill Bane, and if Batman doesn't do this, then Joker will be electrocuted in an electric chair. During this fight, Commissioner Gordon is captured by the Joker in a failed rescue attempt and is strapped to the electric chair. Batman remembers what the electrocutioner threatened him with early on, and with not much choice, defeats Bane and puts Bane in cardiopulmonary arrest, basically stopping the heart to make Joker think that Bane's dead. Joker leaves and Batman revives Bane. Bane, of course, is not too happy about losing and injects himself with TN1, turning himself into this massive monster. With only minutes to defeat him, Batman uses the environment around him to take him down by sneaking up behind him and slamming him against electric fences. Batman, believing he has finally defeated Bane, informs Alfred of his victory, but before he can get much time to celebrate, Bane grabs Batman and flings him against the wall, then punches him through it. Batman, with his quick thinking, fires the remote claw onto two electrical generators, which electrocutes Bane, knocking him out. We then catch up with the Joker, who's waiting for us at the prison chapel. Batman knocks Joker back and begins to beat him senseless. He then knocks Joker out. Gordon enters the chapel to arrest Joker and attempts to arrest Batman, but as Gordon glances away, Batman makes his escape. Gordon has a conversation after with Barbara and reveals that he believes he let Batman go as he felt deep down that he was good for Gotham and that because Barbara believed in him. Gordon and Barbara leave Blackgate seemingly more hopeful for the future as they watch Batman glide off into the distance. Surprisingly, this ending is a lot better than I remember. It definitely had a lot more going on than the other Batman Arkham games, like Bane, Croc, and Joker making appearances. So many thugs thrown at you that you have to deal with, and Bane's 2 different boss battles, and the way they had the tension of Batman being forced to basically kill Bane, or he will end up getting someone else killed, was really well done. I felt Roger Craig Smith and Troy Baker did really good performances, up there with Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill, especially Joker realising that Bane is not in fact dead. I thought Troy Baker going from his upbeat, happy Joker to a pretty mad one was a really good transition. I felt there's only a couple of negatives which are really nitpicks, is the part with Joker, and I just can't put my finger on it, but I think the slow motion beating up Joker seemed a bit unfinished or unpolished, like the facial animations seemed a bit odd, and the way that Joker takes a beating but still balanced is weird, but really it's not that big of a deal. I just thought that no one really seems to talk about that part, so that's why I bring it up. Also, a small nitpick is that no matter how prepared I am, I always cringe at this line for some reason.
Stop his heart. That is funny. Good one, Bats. This is going to be fun.
But obviously this isn't enough to sway my final verdict. Honestly, I'm not a huge fan of Batman Arkham Origins, but I will admit that ending was very well done. From the performances of Troy Baker and Roger Craig Smith to how well they set it up and handled the final boss battle. That's why I have to give Batman Arkham Origins ending an S tier, which leaves us with the final Batman Arkham game, Batman Arkham Knight. Feeling defeated, Batman enters Scarecrow's hideout and surrenders. The reason being is that Gordon and Robin have been captured, and in order to save them, Batman will need to reveal his identity. Batman leaves the utility belt on the table and enters the back of Scarecrow's truck. Alfred informs Batman that he is being tracked, which Batman is aware of and has a good idea of who it could be. Before we get to Scarecrow's location though, we are rammed by a car and the truck topples over. We find ourselves in Crime Alley and attempting to enter the Monarch Theatre. It is revealed that we are in fact hallucinating, with Batman's parents appearing where they would have been killed all those years ago. Joker mocks Batman and pushes him over. Once Batman gets back up, he is then attacked by hundreds of Jokers piling on him, and once Batman deals with enough of them, Batman grabs one of them and snaps the Joker's neck, which could mean that Joker has finally won and will make Batman fully become Joker very shortly. We finally arrive at Scarecrow's hideout, back at the start, Arkham Asylum, which has been very worn down since the last time we saw it. Scarecrow restrains Batman to a gurney-like trolley and brings him to Arkham Manor, where he has set up cameras and televisions to broadcast Batman's reveal. Scarecrow forces Gordon to remove Batman's mask, and after refusing the first time, Scarecrow shoots Robin in the chest. So Gordon reluctantly complies and removes Batman's mask to reveal to the world that he is in fact Bruce Wayne. To ruin the legacy further, Scarecrow injects Batman with fear toxin to show how he is no longer this powerful being, but just a human. We cut to inside Bruce's head, where he believes to be the Joker and has been captured by the Riddler, Two-Face, Penguin and Killer Croc. Joker calls in the Joker Mobile to break out of his restraints and hops inside, wiping out the thugs around him. After this, Joker takes out Penguin, Riddler and Two-Face, which leads us to the exit of the building, which turns out to be the GCPD and onlooking Gotham City in a blaze. Alfred pleads Batman to stop this madness, but now that Joker has taken over, it's no good. We're back in the room with Scarecrow and now the Joker-fied Bruce, with Scarecrow telling Bruce that he will let him go to see Gotham destroy itself. Scarecrow is taken back by Bruce's response that he basically doesn't care what happens. Scarecrow injects Bruce again and we are brought back to the same hallucinations of Gotham burning, but this time the environment goes black. We turn on a flashlight and we get to experience Joker's fears. The fear of being forgotten, being unpopular, and not really leaving the mark he expected to leave when he passed away. We see this with his grave being unkept, only Harley Quinn showing up to the funeral, the newspapers that show that Gotham just doesn't care that Joker died, and that the people on the radio can barely remember who he is. An exit appears behind us, where there's an empty room with a Batman statue. We can take down this statue with our shotgun, but more and more keep appearing around us. Batman bursts out of one of these statues and throws Joker against the wall, weakening it, that we can break down ourselves. Joker walks this familiar platform to a switch for the exit, and once we flick the switch it is revealed to be Arkham Asylum, and Batman steps out of the holding cell that Joker just called. Joker frantically shoots Batman with bullets but does nothing. Batman picks him up and throws him into the cell. He then says his goodbyes and locks up Joker in the back of his mind, getting over his fear of him. We return to Arkham Manor where Scarecrow is victorious and gloating to Gotham of Batman's failures. Scarecrow again injects Bruce with more fear toxin, but this time it has no effect. Batman tells Crane,
I'm not afraid, Crane.
Which again Scarecrow is taken back by, as it's impossible for someone to overcome fear itself. Scarecrow pulls out a gun and threatens to shoot him, but before he can, his pistol is shot out of his hand by Red Hood, aka Jason Todd, who then shoots the restraints, allowing Bruce to grab Scarecrow and inject Scarecrow with his own toxin, making him freak out and go into a panicked state before Gordon knocks him out. Batman then brings Scarecrow to the GCPD to be locked up. After completing all the side missions, we can then initiate the Nightfall Protocol. Bruce drops his cowl, destroys the bat symbol and leaves in the Batwing, as Gordon informs the police that Gotham is now safe enough for them to take back from the thugs. We then cut to Wayne Manor where hundreds of people are waiting outside the gates and see Bruce enter the manor, only for the manor to explode shortly after, leaving people unsure of his fate. Some unknown time later, a family leave the theatre and decide to take a shortcut through an alleyway where they are ambushed by thugs. The thugs are interrupted by someone who appears to be Batman. Unfazed by this, the thugs tell the mysterious figure that Batman doesn't scare them anymore, but the mysterious figure starts to float up into the air and attacks the thugs with the same effect we saw with Scarecrow, meaning that Batman appears to be using some sort of variation of the fear toxin. We then cut to black, meaning the end of Batman Arkham Knight. My overall thoughts is that it definitely feels like the weakest ending out of all four of them. My reasoning is that I felt it just was too focused on the Joker. I felt the ending of Rocksteady's trilogy should have been more focused on Batman and playing him one last time, as it was meant to be the last game originally. I felt maybe there was too many Joker hallucinations piled in at one time, and yes, it was different being able to play as the Joker in third and first person, but I felt it was a bit disconnected and killed the tension of Commissioner Gordon and Robin being hostages and what could have happened if Batman was not too careful. I know it is very difficult to end a trilogy, but I feel there could have been so much more done instead of this. I wasn't expecting a huge boss battle, especially with Scarecrow, but I kinda wish that Joker didn't take the spotlight as much as he did. On the more positive side, I will say that graphically and animation wise this game looks great, and Scarecrow's vocal performance is done really well by John Noble. It's great to see what state Arkham Asylum's in, years after the events of the first game, and I guess it's a good way to end the game in the same place where it started. I think that Batman using the fear toxin is actually a cool idea, surprisingly, as Batman himself isn't feared anymore. Bruce can still save people and use fear as a weapon against enemies, but now in a new way. Lastly, it was a good take to see, rather than the typical boss battles we normally get in Batman Arkham, we instead saw Batman in a mental battle with the Joker and Scarecrow, which did make the ending stand out a bit more than the others. Overall, I didn't enjoy this ending as much as I wish I could, but I understand the difficulty of ending a franchise after so many years. Sadly, I just feel that the ending didn't reach the height of the other games, and personally I found it disappointing. So for Batman Arkham Knight's ending, I will have to give it a C tier rating. So what Batman Arkham game had the best ending? Well, currently Batman Arkham City and Origins are on top with S tier, Arkham Asylum at a pretty great A tier, and Batman Arkham Knight at a controversial C tier. So it's between Batman Arkham City and Batman Arkham Origins, which I feel are very close with boss fights and story. The dramatic ending with Joker dying in City was a lot better than the church scene in Origins, I felt, although the boss fight in Arkham Origins was a lot more fun, switching between a normal boss fight and the Predator type boss fight. And not to say that Clayface was bad, I still think it was pretty good, but just not as creative. So if I had to pick one, I would personally go for Arkham City for the story and Arkham Origins for the gameplay, but if I literally could only pick one or the other, I think I would have to go with Origins due to the fun gameplay, but also the story side was still pretty good. So that means that Arkham Origins takes the crown for the best ending of the Batman Arkham games. Those are my personal ratings, and sadly we don't have too many Batman Arkham games to rank, but if you have any suggestions on what else I could rank, I could do that in the future. Although not perfect, the Batman Arkham games endings are still great, and all of the games are a must play in my opinion. Comment down below your rating of the Batman Arkham endings and your thoughts on my rankings, as they could be quite controversial. Be sure to like and subscribe. That's all for now. My name is Foeinform.